Hello and welcome to Parenting Today. My name is Rebecca Miruri Mulure. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, today on the show, we're going to talk about developmental milestones. These are the milestones that we're supposed to look out for when we are bringing up our infants and toddlers. What should you look out for? What are some of the signs that you should look out for that might require you to look for a doctor? Probably seek the doctor's advice on whether your child is hitting a certain milestone or not. That is what we are going to discuss on the show today. And on set are two lovely ladies. We have Nano Ndiema and we also have Petronila Njoki, who are mothers. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's so nice having you here today.
Thank you.
You're here because your children had some delayed milestones. And that is what we want to talk about today. But maybe let's start by getting to know you first. Start with you, Nana.
All right. My name is Neno Ndiema. I'm a mother of 4. The oldest being 10. He's a boy. The rest are girls. 8, 5. What am I forgetting? And 2. Yes. So I've been a mother for 10 years now.
For 10 years.
Yeah, it's been such a joy, raising those children and just getting to observe the different things that they go through.
Yes.
They grow up so different, So even the milestones, the way the first one hit was not the way the second one hit. So this is a conversation I think I look forward to us having.
Yeah.
Because a parent may expect the same thing from each child, and then just each of them manifests differently. So yeah, it's been a really interesting journey observing and watching them and helping them grow. Yeah, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to the show, Petronila.
My name is Petronila Njoki, and I'm very happy to be here. And I'm a mother of 2. One,
How old?
a boy, 6 years, and a girl, 1 year. Yeah, so I was looking forward to be here to learn more and also to share my story so that it can help a lot of mothers out there who have no idea, and also at the same time I can learn.
Yes, you can also learn.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love, I'm also a mother of 2. I'm also a mother. Maybe it's important that I also say that. I have a 5-year-old and a 5-month-old.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, so when you talk about the differences in the children, you see, like the four kids, and it's something that you've raised. Sometimes we expect the first child to have the same milestones, or to grow up the same way, the second child to grow up the same way the first child grew up. And as a parent, that is something that you look forward to. Or by this time you were supposed to, or by this time the other child was already eating, or was already trying to walk. This one is crawling.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How has it been like parenting the 4 kids?
Oh, the interesting bit is for us, my husband and I, we got our firstborn, and he was, of course, a boy, like I have mentioned. And so we started off with, I can say, a bit clueless, like Petronila has mentioned. Sometimes as parents, we really don't know what to expect. Of course, Google is there. Then all you have maybe is a baby shower, but this is your first time to be a parent, and it's a boy, so we have our son and everything is okay. And we get to 1 year, and there are a few things that you are expecting, for the child to. So the first thing, of course, is if the child can sit. And then that seemed to have not happened at 6 months, which we were told, by 6 months the baby needs to have sat. So he wasn't quite stable at 6 months, but 7 months, 8 months, he picked up and said, okay, good. 1 year, well, most children who are children to our peers, our friends, by 1 year they are walking, not crawling as much, but most of them were walking. For us, our son, at that time was not walking. And we're like, okay, maybe. And then the way you seek counsel from fellow parents, as if they're also doctors. But we talk to each other and you're like, is your son doing this? Is your child doing this? Is your child? So most of our friends, the ones who had girls, looked like the girls were going ahead. So we figured, well, maybe it's a boy thing.
There's always
there's always
that. A myth or what?
I think it's a myth.
Girls grow faster, like the milestones
honestly, I don't know. I stand to be corrected, but I think it's a bit of a myth that we have, boys are slow, girls are faster. Well, there could be some truth to it, but there are some that you may ignore some important symptoms and think it's just a boy, so let him be. Then we get to 1.5, and okay, so he walked at probably around 1.5, so there was a slight delay. Then there's now, we need to start potty training. He's not interested. Like, it's not even hitting him that there is a need. So we observe that, and we're like, maybe it's
what age?
We're heading to 2 years now, and we're not in a hurry to, even attempt or even look like, because children usually, when they want to, when the habit is forming or the desire to start to potty train, you see a child go to a corner and want to relieve them. So even if they're not, on a potty, you see them starting to understand that, well, these things look like you do them
privately.
Privately. For him, he's on a bed, he'll
curtains.
still wet it. So that for us, we're like, but still, I must confess that we didn't know what to expect, and we kept giving ourselves time. We're like, it's okay.
Tell me about your story.
For my son, he came early. He was premature. Yeah, so we had a lot of complications, and then I'm a CS mom, and so while we were at hospital, he developed jaundice, and now that brought so many other diseases. I don't know, like his kidney was not functioning, his liver, when you go the other time, he's not crying. So it was a lot of scare. Being a first-time mom, you don't know what to do. So every time you rush to the hospital, at some time he's not, I don't know, he's turning blue, he's not breathing. You rush to the hospital. Yeah, so while growing up now, it was every Monday we had an appointment to the hospital so that it can be checked. Is the liver still functioning? Are the kidneys okay? I guess my thinking through that brought a lot of developmental delays, because sitting, I guess, we just wanted the baby to survive. We were not looking at whether he's reaching his milestones. But now the shocker came when we are interacting with other parents, and then you realize your child is behaving different. He's jumping, he's not communicating, because now even this whole time, you are doing everything for the child. You're not even engaging him in anything to stimulate his cognitive sense.
Back to you. The second one is here.
Yeah.
How did you now start noticing, like, oh, this was different?
Now, the second one made us realize that even if he's a boy, there are things that even other boys his age have achieved as milestones, and we couldn't see that having happened with him. And so I think by the time he was now 3 years, which means the sister was like 1 year plus, they almost had hit the same milestones, and then she was speaking, which now means she was a bit ahead of him. And so he's the one who is not even saying even one word. In fact, he would make sounds that don't make sense, not even baba, mama, So he would just make sounds, and they're like, so what are we saying? And they would be very random. He wouldn't even be trying to make a conversation. He's just in his own world, or just doing stuff on his own, and then he would make interesting sounds, and they're like, okay, is that a word? But you can't make out a proper word. And you see, now he's 3.
Yes.
And we're like, hey, okay. So I think now we had to wake up as parents.
Yeah,
and like, okay, smell the coffee. It's almost pouring. So that's when we thought, well, so we kept going to the pediatrician, then he referred us to a specialist, and told us, you know what, get him checked, get his hearing checked, because now if he's not even responding to his name, because a child, even by 9 months, is aware of their name. Mostly, even if you call them, even if they can't say yes, they turn. For him, you don't know, he's not responding to anything, and we're like, this is interesting. This one has something. So we didn't know what to expect, though. We thought, it's just those things. You go, the specialist tells you, do A, B, C, D, and you're good. So you get there, and first to even get him to do a hearing test was a whole process. So we're told to keep him awake so that the next day when he comes, he will sleep. They needed him to be asleep for him to do the hearing test. The guy stayed awake all night. We are even the ones who fell asleep and left him watching, I don't know what. We got to do the hearing test. Okay, we got to the audiology center, and Joshua can't sleep. He's still awake. In fact, the guard is the one who told us, Mpeleke, go to the sun, take him where there's sunlight, so that he can get tired. So finally, after like probably I can say 30 hours or so of being awake, he slept. The test was done and he was okay. His hearing was perfect.
Yeah.
So then what does this mean? So then, of course, they refer us now to another specialist, and, you know, you're told now, let's go check whether the child has any hyperactivity. So we're starting to hear terms that we're like, okay, what does this even mean, you know? So we're told to check for hyperactivity, and actually it's my husband who went, and he was asked a series of questions, so many questions by the specialist. Anyway, long story short, so we are introduced to this world that we're told our child has been diagnosed with autism. And we're like, what is that in English? Okay, it was in English, but we could not understand.
Exactly.
So getting to know that, and we're told autism and you need to start on speech therapy. And we're like, what is that? So we didn't know all that. So I guess that was our journey until there.
Yeah.
Then we got to understand, okay, so then there's been a problem that we didn't know about.
And I like it that you've said that you also just tell fellow moms, like, you know what, it's important for you to know when your child is not doing this, you need to seek help early enough. Back to you.
Yeah, so naturally, I will agree with her. You tend to blame yourself, like what didn't I do? What is wrong? You tend to look for solutions.
Yeah, let me just take you back a bit. At how many weeks was your baby born?
Okay, the problem started at 34, so I was admitted for like 2 weeks so that we could, 34, 35, 36, so that we could reach 37 weeks. And those injections to broaden the lungs and all, so that the baby could be taken out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to what you're talking about.
So with taking care of those complications, we were in hospital, and then after some point, we were released and we went home. But now the baby started there's this smell like rotten eggs coming from the mouth, and now you know this baby is only breastfeeding. So I told my mom, hey, I don't understand what is happening here. So my mom told me, hey, you just go back to the hospital, you go right now. So when we went to another hospital, now they told us the level is of bilirubin is 33, and that is almost to brain damage. So they have to take the baby. Or if I take the baby home, he's completely done. Yeah, so with that, now you are a new mom. You don't understand what is happening.
Yeah.
You are not prepared. I think I've told you about that process. And now, when the baby, at 6 months at least, the baby stopped getting sick. At some point, he got GERD for vomit. They vomit milk a lot. He can't take anything in the stomach. And but through every time going to the hospital, those interventions, and the baby started
Picking up.
Yeah, picking up.
I want you to just pause there. We take a short break, and then we'll be back with that. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching Parenting Today. Today we are talking about developmental milestones in infants and toddlers. And we have Neno Ndiema and Petronilla Njoki on set. Petronilla was telling us about her child, and now we are at 6 months. Tell me about that.
Now, by this time, the baby is not so much sick. At least we are managing now. At least we are happy. We are going outside. We are taking him outside. And then now we start going to parties, this birthday parties, interacting with other parents. And then that is when, now this is after like a year. Now the baby is 1 year, because 6 months they're teething, those are just small problems. But now after a year, I just realized this baby, he didn't crawl. He didn't crawl. He's not walking because now we just want him to survive, but that is not the main thing. A child has a lot of things that he needs for him to survive, for him to be whole, and we are failing as parents in one side. Now we started, for me, now I started Googling how can I help this child to at least babble, at least to talk, because I've never heard his voice. No, there's a lot of panic. This led me also, now I want to, if at that point I could be a doctor, yeah, because I thought, now what can I do? You take this child to the hospital, and most doctors didn't understand at first what was the problem. They're just saying, you just give this child time, give the child time. Now 1 year, 2 years, 3 months is when he started walking. Now you just, and during this time I can't interact a lot with people because I don't want that stigmatization, like I'm a failed mother and all. So
Is that something that you guys had to like fight with a lot? Because I can hear it, you know,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm failing.
Yeah.
People, you see me as a parent who has failed.
Yeah, because, you know, some parents don't know. They just know when a child comes, they just come with everything. And yours, yakora shida, he has a problem. Because the society, most people think that the mother is failing, the parents are failing. But even you as a parent, you don't understand what is happening with this child. So you tend to hide the child so that you can deal with it yourself, even your mental health. Yeah, because also as parents, we are being affected. We don't know what to do now. You're going to the hospital, the pediatrician says, you give this child time, you see. And then when a lot of time has passed, like now we are talking about 2 years, 2 years, 3 months is when the child is walking. And the others walked maybe at 1 year, even 8 months, you know. And now talking now for my son, started to talk by 4 years, no, one word, like water. You know, he can't say, I want water, water, food, one word.
This is 4 years.
Yeah.
Have they joined school at that point?
Yeah. Now after they joined school, you know, even children, there's a lot of mockery. So you tend to like, he's very, I don't know, jumping, and maybe he thinks that, you know, as a child they can't understand. Most children, or maybe him, he doesn't understand. He thinks that they want to play with him. But for me as a parent, I'm like, these children, you know, you can be sensitive. They're laughing at my kid.
They're mocking my child,
Yeah. But now at least, he's not yet that much, but now he can say 3-letter words, and I'm seeing progress. Yeah, because now we go to the pediatrician, we do a lot of things, a lot of activities, trying to talk to him. And now this made me also to become a teacher, because now that is the closest thing to pediatrician, like doing early childhood, so that I can understand my child, what happened to him, where did I fail, so that even if another child comes, he or she cannot go through what I went through. Yeah.
And I don't think you failed in any way. You didn't. So did you have like to talk to the teachers beforehand, before the
Yeah, every time.
child
You know,
joins
you
school?
can be overprotective, because if the child is punished, you're like, hey, you're punishing him because he can't talk. Yeah. And you know, some teachers don't understand. Maybe they think, this child is too much.
It's just slow.
Yeah, he's slow,
You know,
he's
like
thick.
why are you not getting it? Others are getting it.
Yeah. So now at home, we tend to do whatever he's learning at school, we repeat at home, because now language, if he can't talk, language is hard for him to grasp. So now it's a lot of practice.
Yes.
Yeah, every time trying to talk, trying to help him and encouraging him even when he speaks. Yeah.
I'm listening to Petronila, and
Yes.
I think you're a strong,
Yes.
you're a strong mother, and much as we are having different experiences as parents, I think it's just important to remind yourself that it is not your fault. I think that's the worst feeling that a parent has, and I have been there. So back to my case, what you've just said about other children making your child feel less of what they should be, I feel it also starts at home. We had to, together with my husband, help our daughter to appreciate the milestones that the brother has taken and to help him where she could without having to sit her down and tell her what condition the child was going through, because we thought it was going to be, it's too early for her to start to process that your brother could be having this and this struggles, because we didn't want her to stigmatize him.
Yes.
So we figured, you figure it out. We will just make sure we encourage as much as possible. Where she has a question, we help her to help him, So we say, if Joshua cannot do this, do it with him, Go and play with him. Go and play with him. So the way he would like to go to the corner, would like, you will follow, without also making it her responsibility to raise
to
the
parent
brother.
the
Yeah, because
brother.
we're like, you're not the parent, but would make it as normal as, would normalize, spending time with Joshua, telling him things a few more times is okay. We can do it, because of course, by the time he was 4, for us, we were still nonverbal. We are completely nonverbal. So we had started speech therapy. But to be honest, I tell the speech therapist today, because we are still in contact, I tell her, at some point I thought you were just making money. Because man, would sit there for an hour and I'm like, so what have you done? To be very honest, what were we doing with those blocks again? Please help me understand like a 2-year-old, I'd be like, we don't get. What are you doing? So we go, and the things she's doing don't look like they would generate speech money. And therapy is a fight we are still going to have until we see change.
Yes.
But it's not even in medical covers. You pay from your pocket.
Yes.
So you're like, these sessions are expensive, my friend. Please, can we see the child say, hi, ma'am, how are you?
Yes.
Well, clearly Rome was not built in a day, but well, we really thought this could be built in a day. And like I mentioned, it was a journey we didn't know it was going to take longer than we expected. Walking him through the journey of helping him now build on the milestones that he hadn't achieved, and now get him to achieve them. We didn't know. We thought it was we were expecting overnight success. Like a lottery. We were like, Lord, this is going to be a lottery. It was not. But it taught us patience. It taught us patience. We despaired at some point. We got discouraged. But every time we kept going, and we said, you know what, this is the best that we have. Let's do the therapy. Let's engage. We did not isolate ourselves. Now, in our case, we had specific friends that were in our lives almost constantly, that would meet even on a monthly basis. So we refused to isolate him from that space. Let's get there, and you go to your corner, but we are there. And that helped him to begin to appreciate that, okay, this one seems stuck in my life. This ones look like they will be seeing them every time. And they remain friends to date, but that helped him with socialization. The mistake, I can't say a mistake, but we decided to take him to school, but we took him to a school where he was the only one in his class. I don't know what we were looking for. Maybe we were also being overprotected. I don't know. But it's because we also wanted him to take a certain direction in education. So we went to this school and we realized, okay, one child in a class can't work. And the teacher kept encouraging us, don't worry, he's okay. But she would do the work for him. There was really no conflict. There was no challenge, for him there. Yeah. Thankfully, after a term or two, we figured, no, let's just do a school where he will have socialization. He will just learn how to interact with other children. They learn better when they're with other children. Much as at first they may pull aside, but with time, as they get comfortable in that space, they get to really learn a lot from the children. Did I mention where speech came in? I haven't. So we do therapy for about a year almost before we see any results. And this one very random night, Joshua says 7 words at once. very, not a sentence, for sure. Like, good night, chicken, Joshua. You know, they were clear. Like, he wasn't blubbering, he wasn't sounding like a child, he was now saying words properly. And I came to understand later that those are words that he would hear often, like good night. You know, good night is something we tell our children every time. So it became his first word. And we're like, huh? But it was unbelievable. We're like, call the ambulance, call everybody. Everybody needs to go, you know. But yes,
because
he has
in the interest
spoken.
of time,
Yes.
I'd really want us to, tell us where your children are right now.
Yeah.
This is now the 6th year.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years later. Where are we, so that we take another break really fast.
Right now, for my son, he's talking, he's singing,
Wow.
and he's praying. But he has I've taught him a short prayer that he repeats a lot of times. I guess for him, he's that child you have to constantly tell him one thing after every day you repeat it until it gets into his brain. It's not like, but I'm liking the progress.
Yes.
He's not like the other children who are very fast learners, but I'm hopeful that
Yes,
eventually he will be able to communicate
But he can
fluently.
walk well now.
Yeah, he can walk. He's in school. At some point, I felt like to take him out of school. Yeah, because I thought, these other children, they are too far ahead. Maybe he needs a specialized
System of
system
education.
of, but the teacher told me, no, just put him with the other children, he will catch up eventually. So I left him.
And that's where you are.
Yeah.
Joshua?
All right, Joshua is now turning 10. Yeah, by God's grace, he's hit all his milestones, and then his cognitive, or rather his intelligence, he's slightly ahead. Yeah, so he gets things way faster than children who are in his in age and peers. So for that, he seems like he processes things much faster.
Yeah.
And probably that's even what made him delay the speech, because for him, he was processing, sentences as we are thinking, Baba,
Words.
Mama. So he's hit quite his milestones, and we really engage him. We really try to engage his mind, expose him to a lot of reading. He likes to read encyclopedias. He's that kind of boy. So that for him is now where he processes things at that level. So we really try and give him what he is interested in. But he's doing well in school. He does school. He's actually in a different school from his sisters. So he's doing very well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are beautiful stories, just knowing that
progress.
where they are right now, there is progress over the years. So we're taking another short break. After the break, we'll have Grace Nyambura, a psychologist who's going to help us just put all this into perspective, understand the milestones, and answer your questions if you have any for her after the break.
All right.
Welcome back. You're watching Parenting Today. Today we are talking about developmental milestones in infants and toddlers. And on set right now is Grace Nyambura, who has just joined us, a psychologist. And earlier on we had Petronila and Joki, who are still here actually, not earlier on per se. Petronila and Joki and Neno and Diema, who are sharing their experiences with their children. And now we have Grace Nyambura. Do boys and girls have different milestones?
Yeah, they do. Well, this is not actually scientifically proven that girls develop faster than boys, but it's true, and from behavioral and what we observe as parents, and what has been observed socially, and that's why a pediatrician will easily tell you that if it's a girl, she's okay. If it's a boy, you can wait. But really, it's not socially, or rather scientifically proven. It's just a social observation.
A social observation?
Yes, it is.
That has been there over time.
That has been there over time.
Oh,
Yes.
they develop. Okay, good to know, ladies. I think
Yeah.
that it's a good observation. I think. So tell me about the milestones. What should I expect? Say maybe for the first 12 months, that I should look out for. If this does not happen by month 3, month 5, I have a 5-month old. If this does not happen by this time, then I should, seek medical attention.
So usually children develop in 5 milestones. The first milestone is usually, the what do we call this, or rather gross motor skills, where a child now starts to walk, learns to crawl. They can use, their muscular energy. That is usually the gross. But then we have also fine sensor, or rather fine motor skills. For example, a child is learning to write, and you'll notice that a lot of children usually just maybe take a pen. They love to take a pen, just
And
draw
scribble,
nothing and
yeah.
scribble. Yeah. Then we also have the cognitive and intellectual development. This is where now they learn. They're learning how to color. They're learning how to put things together. 2 and 2, is 4. Or rather, they're learning how to, even relate with you and relate numbers. What is a number? What is 1? What does 1 look like? How does 2 look like? So usually that's the cognitive and intellectual ability. Then we also have the social and emotional ability. The social and emotional ability means that they are able to relate with you as a parent. They are able to relate with other children. They are able to relate with maybe a house help that is taking care of them. And there's usually, if maybe a child is going through a problem, you'll notice maybe they become avoidant. They are not able to relate easily with other people. They are withdrawn. They're isolated. They want to be on their own. You pick them up, they start to cry. You come home as a parent, they don't even seem to care that you're present. They'll just be like, oh, you're here, and continue playing. It's like it's not affecting them. But we also have the speech and language. Now this child is also learning how to speak, the ma, ba, baba. They're learning to what does associate rather words with actual, principles or objects or items. They're learning that baba is a person, mama is a person, a cup, kikombe is this, they're learning how to relate and integrate all this together.
And I'd want to know how all that applies now to an infant, because I think most of what you've mentioned applies to a toddler.
Yeah.
Like an infant, this is at what point should this child now have the motor skills, for example? At what age? Yes, should I expect like the child to be able to move their hands?
So from month 3, your child will always, start throwing their legs, they're throwing their hands. Usually it happens even earlier, especially in girls. You'll notice they're throwing their legs up
Girls,
and
boys
down.
again.
Yeah. Again, yeah. So you'll notice that they are throwing their hands. They are struggling to even move from a seat. They're learning how to actually sit. They want, this is how I sit. That is what they're learning at that age. So they're not able to really pronounce things, but they are also, they communicate majorly by crying. At that age, from 1 month to 3 months, they communicate majorly from crying, and especially when they're uncomfortable. That means if this child is hungry, if they have a stomach upset, if anywhere is hurting them, they will cry.
A wet diaper.
Yeah, a wet diaper, exactly. So they will be crying. That's usually the major communication. So if you notice that your child is in an uncomfortable situation, but they're not actually, crying, they're having maybe fever, but they're not responding, they're not showing anything, that's a point for concern. You want to know, why is my child not reacting to this? Maybe they touch something hot, but they don't cry. You want to know what, it happens with developmental issues, So you need to also be able to understand that this child is growing. They're not able to communicate with you and say, this is what I want, but they will cry. Now you have to actually be able to monitor your child. You have to be present in the moment and understand that this is what the child is saying. But yes, they may not, say it loud. But if you're present, if it's a hot cup there and your child starts crying, you'll understand maybe this child has just touched this hot cup here. Yeah.
Okay. So listening to them, and especially I think Nana was talking about how she used to work late, and you have a caregiver, maybe someone taking care of the child. How important is it to have like people who are taking care of this child, and even the parents themselves, like to have that knowledge of just knowing that, okay, so if this child does not do this or that, or they behave in a certain way, you need to inform your employer.
So usually as a parent, your child sees you as a safe space. Yeah, they see you as the protector. Yeah, they do not know you know, they may have the nanny around and all that and spend a lot of time, and they may actually have a real connection with them, but you as a parent, there's usually a special bond, right? So if a child is, maybe you notice that the child is becoming avoidant, they don't want you to touch them, you know, they don't want you, or even you hold them and it's like it's nothing, they don't care, that is usually the first telltale. You need to be able to understand that if your child is becoming avoidant, they're missing something. And this may not play out when they are young. You may come to realize the effects much, much later, when the child maybe distances themselves from you. We have seen people in adulthood leave their parents and go. They literally vanished. They don't even pick calls and all that. So those are some of the things you also need to be looking at. Another thing, if the child is constantly crying, you need to be able to understand, why is the child constantly crying? If maybe you leave them with a nanny and this child does not, you know, every time you come home they're running to you and don't want to see the nanny. We want to find out, is this child maybe being abused? Is something happening in this house that I'm not aware of? When this child, you know, they feel safe with me, but why is it that when I'm home they don't want to relate with my nanny? Why is it that every time I just come home they're running from, you know, the person that is taking care of them? Another thing, maybe in a toddler age, you'd want to request your children to draw the family. This is one of the how to identify if your child is actually okay with the people in your setup. You ask them to draw. You know, they won't draw something very perfect, but they will draw the people, and you'll ask them, who is this, who is this, who is this? If they're able to identify all the people in your family, then you know that this child is actually learning, or rather they have been able to socially connect with each one of you.
I think that aspect,
Yeah.
that they've been able to socially connect. At the clinics, how important are these clinics? What are some of the questions that parents should be asking? Because I think we just go, leo ni chanjo ya nini, leo ni chanjo ya rotavirus.
So, I mean, it's okay, or rather important, that you ask, maybe if you've noticed something that is a little off, something that does not sit well with you. If maybe, I know there's usually the fear and anxiety that you don't want it to be broken to you, that maybe your child has a developmental disability.
Delay, yeah.
You know, you don't, it's hard to take that information. And maybe that's why a lot of people, or rather patient, or rather, what do we call them, parents, don't want to ask, because you're scared. You're scared of the reality. Yeah. But the truth is, the earlier you learn, the better the treatment you'll get. So if you realize that your child is always repeating patterns, you give them toys, they don't play with the toys, they're just staring at the toys. Or rather, you give them toys and they're breaking the toys, they want to understand, what is this thing? You notice very, you know, things that maybe are a bit off. It's okay to just go and ask your pediatrician.
Ask the questions.
Yes,
ask the questions.
Yeah.
And I want them now to ask you questions, like if they have any questions. Oh, and also another thing, they should read the clinic book.
Yes, they should.
Back to your clinic is very important.
My question is, what do you think about screen time and developmental delays? Do they really affect children?
Yes, they do, a lot. And I mean, we are living in a social media world, a world where every person is busy, let's be honest. So most of the times we give our children phones, or rather, you know, screens, gadgets, for them to just be distracted by our absence. But really, you know, the child, okay, there are usually programs that are actually educative. I've seen a program, I think it's called Akili Kids, you know, those things where the children are asked to color, the children are asked to draw trees and others, you know. But again, how much time are you giving the child with the screen? Remember, it's also affecting their vision. Remember, this child is growing. They're literally, their brain is forming. So what is it that they're learning? And everything that they're learning cannot be taught on a screen. They will not learn how to speak from the screen. Maybe they will be speaking, you know, they will learn a few words, but they won't completely learn from the screen. You get? So it's important that you're able to regulate so that this child also has time to play. Because if you do not allow your child to play, trust me, they will definitely develop a developmental condition over the board, because they are not getting the space to be a child. They need to be a child. They need to actually connect with their brain. They need to connect with their environment. And this is where the nurture and nature, you know, there's a controversy that we say, is it usually nurture that causes a child to maybe develop a condition, or is it the nature? That means the biological and rather, you know, issues, or rather things, the genes, the genetic factors. Is it usually the genetic factors? Well, some of it is genetics, but some of it is because of the environment that the child is in. That means that if they're exposed to so much screen time, other than, you know, playtime, they're not able to connect. let's be honest, even us, if you're always on your phone, it's hard to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you're giving your child the phone all the time, or rather a gadget, it's hard for them to even learn how to relate with you as a parent.
It's true.
Yeah.
Question?
Yeah.
Nena? Or a
I
comment?
think for me, I would just want you to help us and many other mothers. How do we stay safe?
Yeah, the psychologist.
Yeah, especially because those realities are easy for the doctor to tell the parents, you know, your child has this, your child has this.
Yeah.
But how does the mother take care of her emotional well-being, even as they are raising their children, despite the many things that they may see or observe with the child? You know, how do I remain alive?
So maybe just to point out, I had a quote somewhere that being a mother is a full-time job. So yes, you really don't stop being a mother once you're a mother, right?
And fathers too.
Yeah,
Let's not leave them
fathers
out.
too. Yeah,
They also
exactly.
get affected
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So it's important that, you know, as a mother, you need to identify, where am I? How am I feeling emotionally? Because sometimes we tend to think that we have made our child an extension of ourselves. So we have no world, you know. It's like our work is just go to work and go to be a mother. But do you take yourself out? Do you take time to actually analyze your own emotions? Because if you're not also able to analyze your emotions, how are you feeling? And one of the recommendations that I usually make to most of my clients is, if you come home, yeah, the child is, you know, you're coming from work, maybe you're not even in a very good space, you know, you're feeling tired, you're feeling fatigued, you don't even want to talk. Just go to your bedroom, go to your safe space, take a minute and breathe. Take a minute and breathe, because the moment you're angry from work and you come and hold the child with that same energy, the child will also associate you with that energy. They tend to think that mom always comes home, you know, angry, so I don't want to talk to her when she's coming from work. And that's why it's important that if maybe you can pass through somewhere, if you want to take a cup of coffee, go take it. At least come back home with positive energy to your children. Again, take time out for yourself. You're not here to pay bills and everything. Okay, yeah, of course, bills are a thing. But you're not here to only pay bills. The pressure is real. But you're not here to only pay bills and, you know, take care of everyone else. You also need to be taken care of you.
Yes.
Who takes care of you when you're not okay? Who does? So as a parent, also take time out for yourself. You know, go out, have fun, have social networks, have a support person. Maybe your parents could be someone that is actually supportive, your partner, someone that actually also holds up your responsibilities for you when you're not around. So that you can it's easy for you to take a vacation and you know your child is safe. Your child is maybe with their grandma, your child is maybe with their dad, and they are safe in that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies. I wish we had more time to talk about delayed milestones and you know, just finding out how to now make up for the. I like it that, you know, right now you can say that they've hit most of the milestones that they had missed out on. And we trust that God is going to help us, you know, in this parenting journey, and also just stay sane, like you said. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We were talking about developmental milestones, and we had Neno Ndiema, Petrolila Njoki, and Grace Nyambura, psychologist, on set to help us talk about that. My name is Rebecca Miruri Mulure. Thank you so much for watching.
Welcome to Tile and Carpet, where we deal with everything you would need at home, in the office, restaurant, and hotels. We offer solutions to all your needs. We have a wide range of roofing solutions, tiles, sanitary furnishing, and interiors. We have exquisite furniture, elaborate dining sets, and classic comfy beds. Our prices are affordable across board. Feel free to visit us in any of our different branches in Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nairobi. We also do site visits and offer clients with professional advice. You can reach us on this number for the site visit.